Thank you for joining me for another episode of Build Your Poetry Manuscript with KMA. I am KMA Sullivan, founder and publisher at Yes Yes Books. We've got 3 more episodes left in this series. Today is episode 10, which is part 3 of choosing the shape of your manuscript. In the last episode, we took a look at choosing sections for the shape of your manuscript. And a lot of manuscripts are shaped in that way. But what if you want to try something that doesn't involve sections? Then there are some categories to think about. We talked about categories in the first part of the discussion of choosing the shape of your manuscript. That was episode 8. So think about categories that have not so much to do with theme and form, which will probably carry the most weight if you're splitting your manuscript into sections. Think about categories that have to do with emotional direction, levels of emotional intensity, poems that push the reader, and that can happen in different ways. If the poem is fairly abstract, not too much straight on reveal of the heart, language that is more abstract, that is a type of poem, a type of category that you should keep in mind. Because one of the things you're doing is you're modulating the reader's experience and offering variety so that the reader can continue from start to finish. So if you've got a topic that is heavy, complex, you want to give the reader a breather. Let's say you're moving them through some serious themes, serious experiences coming from the speaker, then it's important to give them a moment of rest. That would be one type of kind of modulation. Similarly, you can give them a moment where there are clearer anchors, clearer connections to the emotional heart, where the mask is taken off to some extent. That's another type of modulation. Sometimes the rest comes in a more approachable form. It could be a shorter poem, just that by its nature is more easily consumed, more easily absorbed. Imagine that you are a guide bringing a group of people through a nature walk. The path needs to have variety. You're heading in a general direction. It's got a starting place and a finishing place. And there's incredible richness and diversity within this walk. It would be a mistake to offer the same level of intensity of discussion on every single thing that you come across. Spending 10 minutes on the fiddlehead fern is cool, but if you do it on the fiddlehead fern and you do it on the bouncing Betty and you do it on the cattail and on, you're going to lose your audience. The folks are gonna check out a little bit. Variety in terms of intensity, length of explanation. This is going to keep the audience interested. And also, again, allow them places to rest. You're going to offer explanations, information about different types of things to pay attention to along this walk. Some of them are going to be more auditory. Some of them are going to be more visual. Some will have historical context. And you're also going to have your big players. What are the things along that walk that are the most important? that offer destinations, preliminary destinations along the way. Again, in that nature walk, if you're walking the group through a set of different spots along this walk and everything is the most important, this is the huge thing. This is the thing I want you to remember. This is the most complex, the most important. You're going to lose your audience. One of the most important activities that you can do that will help in figuring out how to shape your manuscript is to spend some time asking yourself, what is the heart of this collection? That will allow you to pull out some poems that don't feed that heart. It will also allow you to see if you need some additional poems that feed into that heart, that help prepare the reader, again, for those big moments. So you know what the heart of the manuscript is. You've thought about the different categories that point in different ways toward the heart. You spent time on the walk-in, figuring out how to gain the reader's confidence so that they will follow you on this journey. And now you've provided a journey for them, modulating their experience, so varying intensity, voice, how much effort it takes to absorb and understand what you're doing, offering places of rest, places of reveal. And now you are moving toward the finish, the walkout. It comes down to, what do you want to leave the reader with? And that is going to vary so significantly from manuscript to manuscript. I know there's a thought out there that a book shouldn't end kind of on a hard finish. Okay, I understand why that is often said, but honestly, maybe that's exactly how you want to finish your book. Maybe there's a very specific point you want to bring the reader to, and you've worked on that, and now you're able to establish the finish, establish the end, and you've tied it with a bow. The idea that there's a set rule about how you should do your book, I don't buy it. I don't buy it. But so you can tie it with a bow. You can hit something with a hard hammer at the end. You don't have to. That's one option. Perhaps you want to leave the reader with a sense of possibility, with a sense of what might come next. There are different ways for you to finish. One thing I would ask you to look out for is to not finish more than once. It's hard to have confidence in our own work. One of the ways lack of confidence shows is the writer will offer a finish more than once because they're not sure they got the reader there. So I would ask you to have confidence in your work and confidence that you have gotten the reader to where you want them, so that you don't need to repeat the finish. The other thing I'd ask you to do is to keep hold of the heart as you do offer the last poem or two. I have seen a lot of manuscripts from folks putting together their first collection where the choice of the last few poems is odd and doesn't appear to reflect what the collection itself was doing. Sometimes it has to do with a feeling of owing the characters in the book. An example would be the book is about the speaker's experience with the father. So the father does play a role in the manuscript, but the book is not about the father. The book is, this particular book is about what is occurring in the speaker, the way the speaker is processing history, experience, injury, love, connection. But the writer finishes with a poem, even a last line, that actually centers the father. I've seen that kind of move occur again and again, and I would say that's a mistake, because that's not, the father is not actually the heart. The heart is the speaker's experience and history and processing. And it is okay to leave behind the other characters when you enter those last couple of poems. You can let them go. You've done the work that you have been after, and you can let them go now. So there are many different ways to end a manuscript, but it needs to be, as always, intentional. It needs to be with confidence in yourself, confidence in your work, and that the reader will follow you and has followed you. And again, be patient with the fact that this is going to take a number of rounds. You might try out a number of different orders, a number of different shapes. We have 2 more episodes ahead. Thank you as always for joining me. Have a great rest of your day.